Welcome to Kicking It Local, hosted by me, Johnny Kecko. Throughout this series, I'll be sitting down with coaches, football directors, committee members, officials, anyone involved in the football community here in South Australia. And today is no different. I'm sitting down with a player in the State League 2 for Pontian Eagles, Domenic Tripodi. Thanks for joining me, mate.
No worries, thanks for having me.
So, your career, I'm looking at the list of clubs you've played at. You've played at some... Well, we talk about football in South Australia, how rich the culture is at all these clubs. And looking at your list, you've played Adelaide City, White City, Bacala, Port Adelaide Pirates, and now Pontian Eagles. And there's the history there is incredible. And you played mostly during your reserves and a bit of senior time as well. What has it been like? Actually, I don't want to miss out your junior years as well at Croydon Kings.
Yeah.
What was it like playing at all these clubs?
You said it before, the heritage of it is outstanding. And just to be able to play at those top clubs, you know, the oldest clubs in the state, you know, like you said, Croydon, Adelaide City, Bacala as well. Most importantly, Port Adelaide. Absolute honour to play for them, and just don't take it for granted. And especially through the junior years at Croydon, you see it take off through to the senior football grades as well. And it's just, great honour to play for those kind of clubs.
They've produced some big players at Croydon. Travis Dodd's their coach there, but during your time there, you would have experienced some players coming through the ranks that had either had a big career or gone on to bigger careers.
Yeah.
What was it like for you being a part of that club there at Croydon?
Yeah, it was amazing to see them, because once I was going through my junior stages into my seniors, they were getting through the stages of the old Super League back then, and they were going through the second tier, going through promotion. And to see the club get promoted to the top tier, it was just seen to the old Polonia, which is now not there anymore, unfortunately, get the old Polish crowd around and the local crowd. That was outstanding. And then you got your leaders, like, there are many I can't remember, but the main one, iconic, Luke Klimek.
Yeah.
Like, he, growing through those years, when I was going through those first initial under-19s and under-23s back then, for the man to still be there and be an iconic legend, which he is just outstanding. So that is one factor I got to mention, Luke Klimek, by far.
So you've gone through all those years. You've played at Adelaide City, an Italian team, and now you're playing at a Greek team, Pontian Eagles. What's it like experiencing those different, well, there's many more in there, and you can keep going all day, but what's it been like experiencing those different cultures? Because you've got an Italian background.
Yeah.
So what's it been like for you?
Not really too much, to be honest. It's just embracing and adapting, and it's the same old, and just seeing what they're like. Like, I just don't see too much different in the Greek heritage than the Italian, but it's just embrace it.
One thing I love about football, especially here all around Australia, but South Australia as well, is that the different cultures and how it makes up football here in South Australia is just so passionate about the game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so passionate. And we mentioned before, the heritage, and being that older age, they show the passion and they show the emotion week in, week out, and you can't lose that. Your
new club, Pontian Eagles, you've been there for a short time now. First team football for you, that's what you're striving to do.
Of course.
How's it feeling for you? Is it feeling like more of a natural fit at the club?
Yeah, all the clubs have been a natural fit once you move in, break in, and get to know everybody. But Pontians so far have been so welcoming. All the boys there are fantastic. The club's great. And they've got future aspirations, as all clubs do. But the way the Pontians are going at the minute, the way that we're looking, it's positive. It's very positive. New facilities getting started soon. And it'll be great to see where the club progresses in the future years.
For those that don't know, you've got a new facility coming for Pontian Eagles. Tell us a little bit about what that means for the club.
So basically, that'll strengthen what they've missed out on. So all the clubs are getting, most of the clubs are getting new facilities, and which brings a bit more of attraction or stability, and the club can be able to then hold more Thursday night meals and whatnot. New canteen features and mainly the club rooms. It's just something to have that all clubs should have.
The club rooms makes a big impact on the team, doesn't it? Being able to hang out with your mates after a game, because most of those players end up you being your best mates.
Of course.
And that would make a huge difference to the way you play on the field as well, wouldn't it?
It does. It brings a lot of solidarity, and it gels the squad and the club together. And the way all of us, or the many players growing up through my years, that Thursday nights was always a must at the club. You know, you have your meal, teams get announced, you stay, you know, half hour, 40 minutes, at least till the team's announced. You have your meal, stick around, and even after games, it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
After the game's done, shower up, head into the change rooms, have a drink, have a feed, and then head off. It's a dying thing in nowadays with all this facility upgrades and whatnot, but it's one of the dying things of the game, which is unfortunate. But again, going back to having that facility like that, it sure would help, you know, keeping that intact.
Have you experienced what the main food at the club is? Because one thing that's been huge around Australia at the moment it's now the Australia Cup, or formerly FFA Cup, was the food at all the grounds.
Yeah.
What's the main food there? Have you experienced it yet?
They do a fantastic charcoal barbecue and spit,
Nice.
of course, being Greek, and you can't not leave without having at least a bread roll or something, you know. But again, being so hard with the transition of renovating and stuff, I think the hands are pretty tight at the minute, but can't wait for that to get up and running and finally get
Some of the best food comes from footy clubs, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
It's once it's up and running, I'll definitely be down to Pontian.
Absolutely, yeah. Come down.
A club like that has a lot of sponsors that get on board to help him. You guys had breakfast recently at one of your sponsors, Ground Floor Coffee.
Yeah, yep.
What's it like having like days like that out together?
It's good because again, you gel as a squad. You get together as a senior setup, and you can give back to the sponsors what they give to the club. You know, they go out of their way to put the money into the club and get recognition. So as players and as senior footballers, trickles down to the juniors, and as they develop, you know, it's good to give back to what our sponsors provide for us, you know.
Yeah, and I've been to Ground Floor. They do some great. They make great coffee there.
They do.
Josie, Anthony down there, and Johnny as well. The whole team down there.
The whole team. They do a great job, and if you haven't been there, highly recommend it.
Yeah, and the meatballs. Have you had the meatballs?
I haven't yet, but that's next.
Yes,
that's
definitely recommend Ground Floor meatballs and a coffee. Nice long black.
Absolutely. Oh, latte for me.
Nice. We're talking about your career. You've been playing for a while now, since you were 15, so 13 years. So you've been through a lot. What was your time? Because you went to Italy for a little bit with Blue Eagles. What was that experience like as a player for you, and having that opportunity to go over there and play?
Honestly, it was the best experience I've ever had. The short period of time that we were there for, cut the sightseeing out because that's always what you would do. But
yeah, absolutely.
The football base of the trip, just to be around the boys and being able to play and literally witness what they're like over there, it was just, it's second to none, because not many people, especially through COVID now, obviously, but even pre that, not many players get to experience that. You know, the raw game style play and everything like that. It was just amazing. And you see their setup. Like, I'll never forget receiving the ball and you look up and their whole formation's in front of you. And they learnt that from a young age, in which I believe is where we're lacking in this nation. But again, that whole experience in itself, second to none. We played teams like Roma, Empoli and Vicenza.
Oh, wow.
And that was, again, to play against the Roma Primavera back then was just, it was amazing.
So that experience for you, how did that affect you? How old were you at the time? You were late teens?
17.
Yeah, there you go. So 17. As a 17-year-old, that impact on your career aspirations and your playing, did it change anything the way you played? Did you adapt to from what you learned from over there?
Yeah, you bring it back here and you think, you know, you got more time on the ball, you can compose yourself, you read the game different, and then as you grow older, like now, you look at the game different. Whereas, you know, players, early 20s or earlier, they look at the game and go, wow, look what he's done with the ball. Yeah. He scored an amazing goal. Whereas now, our age or even older, you look at differently and you go, all right, how are they setting up? Formation, tactics, blah, blah, blah. Taking that out, we look at as, okay, how do they play? Patience. You know, for me, that was one of the biggest things. I took out how patient they were on the ball and when to play, and bring it into my game today. It's helped quite a bit, and looking back on that actually too. Do
you think it's an important thing? Because COVID's had a big impact on
massive.
Those experiences for young kids. Do you reckon that's going to have an impact on these young kids not being exposed to that at the moment?
Potentially, but again, I think there's a lot of footballing systems in Australia at the moment, footballing developments and that there segues through to potentially heading overseas. But again, that's got to start here. And I think in Australia, that's happening slowly. Again, there are many state academies that are getting started up, like you got Marcelo Corusca doing his, Marcos Flores doing his, and
Casio as well.
Casio doing his, and that's just to name a few. Like Drago's been doing his for a long time, and then now you've got, Superior Squad and all these other little boutique ones, and that's just local. And then you got nationwide that are different, and in that aspect as well, like you mentioned, academies and stuff, like players do their own personal stuff. Like they might have a personal PT or something like that. Like myself, the last 5 or 6 years I've been with RW Fitness and Training.
Okay,
Roger
cool.
Williamson, he's been the Burke's fitness trainer, and he's done a whole world of good for myself, because I'll speak for myself, and he's helped me individually and been able to keep fit and conditioned and mindset on track as well. And that there also, again, like I mentioned, segues to the kids' developments as well through academies. So they're different avenues of what kids can take.
What's it like having your own personal trainer? Because you're already training 2-3 nights a week with your club.
Yeah.
You play on a weekend. What's it like having your own trainer on top of that?
It's good because it's a different form of training that the clubs not so much include often. So Roger, he includes conditioning, where we're lacking, a bit more ball control or passing drills, shooting drills, or muscle conditioning, strengthening, where these modern players today at the higher leagues are that's what they're doing. They're conditioning their bodies, recovering in order to play longer and being able to endure more games.
Yep.
You see a lot of injuries nowadays. It's a world of good. It's a world of good to look after your body, and he's done a world of good for me. You're
looking to play more games in the State League 2. The setup now, State League 2, we've seen a lot of amateur teams that have come from the Sassel over to the Federation playing in State League 2. We have Mount Barker United, Adelaide Uni. Now we've got Pontian Eagles there as well. What's it like for you seeing these clubs and being involved in them as well? Because you've been involved in many clubs. What's the professionalism like of these clubs now that they've come from that background with so much history already there, and then come into the elite systems? Yeah, so out of those three, obviously Pontians would have the most history in my opinion, and to see firsthand what they're like. They're a rapidly growing club coming to the Feds. And again, having aspirations is fantastic. And I can see us going a long way. So the professionalism is growing. Then you look at what Matrich did at Adelaide Uni last year, getting the club promoted, winning the championship through the final series. Professionalism is still growing there, and it's taken on through to this season whilst they're in State League 1. And then you look at Mount Barker, again, a slow developing club with high aspirations, again, trickling through. The professionalism is there. It's up and coming. But I reckon they're going to be a surprising factor. Of course. And that's what I love about how it's expanding over the years, and these clubs are coming through from the Sassel into the Federation. It's great to see. And it is. Into the state leagues, and it's slowly building. It is. It's slowly building. Yeah, and hopefully we can get another 2-3 divisions over the next few years. Potentially, but it would be good to see how far state league football can get. Yeah, absolutely. You've been at all these clubs. We've spoken about all of them that you've been at. You've gone to Italy. You've won Player of the Year in the reserves for 2 years in a row. What's some of your favourite moments? What's your number one moment that you've had in your career so far? My number one moment, there are many, but I have to say, winning the being premiers at Port Adelaide Pirates as a whole, because that meant a lot, because I was a part of Pirates, I believe it was 2018 when we unfortunately got relegated, and that hit hard. That hit real hard. To be relegated, that's a different feeling, and I promised myself that if I was ever, because I left that year after and ventured to Burke's, in which started my personal success, and I said if I was to ever return to Port Adelaide, if they're still in State League 2, I was to do everything I could to help the club team get promoted. I then returned on my own accord, and I said to then coach Ryan Mogg and
current president, Dan Drummond. I said, look, these are my aspirations. I'll do everything I can to help the club and team get promoted. And, James Skevington, amazing player, amazing captain. He was just on board with that. And then once Nick Mav come back, who was also a part of that relegation team with me as well, to share the moment with that club to get promoted and be premiers was, again, probably one of my best moments in my career.
What's it like winning and getting that promotion? What was the celebrations like afterwards with the boys?
It was for me, it wasn't unexpected because I was calling it for at least a month.
Yeah.
Because it was so tense heading into the last month of football because Uni and us, Uni and Port were so neck and neck heading into the last few weeks. 1 point here, goal difference there. It was just neck and neck, and we were kind of hoping on results to fall our way, and the pressure was on Uni. And then to hear the result go our way while we're up at Gawler, because we played Gawler the last game of the season, it was just scenes like they still had the VO set up, and you could see us hear the news that, fortunately for us, unfortunately for Uni, that their result had drawn and we were already up 3 or 4-0 at that point. It was just amazing scene. Celebrate there, go back to the club, and just take the celebrations on from there. It was great. Yeah, it was amazing.
Would you love to be in that situation again? Is that what obviously everyone does?
Look, not in that heart attack moment of not knowing, but to be promoted again, absolutely. And that's what the aspiration is this year with Ponce, is to definitely get promoted.
I've spoken with Barney Smith about this because the year that you guys got promoted, that was a hectic season and hectic last final round for State League 1, State League 2, and also the NPL.
It was.
All came down to the last game, and also the teams that were finishing top of the ladder or going into that last round didn't end up finishing top.
I know.
Second took the place and ended up getting automatic promotion.
It was great. It was good to see, and it's amazing what football does, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And when something is big on the line, like a promotion, it can change anything.
It does. And I think, and that's one big thing as well. Like, I'm a big believer in first past the post, and gaining promotion like that, I think that's how it should be.
Yep.
And again, my personal opinion. And then final series, have the promoted team excluded and then have a promotion series rather than a final series. But again, having something to play for like that it's amazing. Yeah,
absolutely. And as spectators as well, we all love it.
Of course, that's what we go for.
You still got a few years left in your career. You'll probably be able to go for another 5 to 10 years. But speaking of fair, you want to get into coaching at some point as well.
Yeah.
What's inspired you to be able to get into that coaching role position?
Just the love for giving back to the game, because the game gives so much to you as you grow older and have your career. Football doesn't owe you anything. You give back to football what it gives to you. So I want to pass on my knowledge eventually to kids growing through. And I've done a year of coaching under sixes, and I mean, a lot of people say they're just under sixes. Well, there's a lot of reward in that, because when you first get them to where you end up at the end of the season, there's a lot of growth. And I looked at that as a blessing to see, they look up to you as a senior player, and they want to be like you when they grow up. And that brings forward into senior role where it's almost easier to teach or coach, because that's all you're doing is coaching. And to be able to give your own technique, advice, and whatever, I think that's definitely a role I want to take.
And it's such a pivotal time in their career, in their football journey as well, because that first few years, it's the foundation years.
It is.
It's very important for those kids to get the right mindset
that's right.
going into the game.
That's right. They got to love the game and just basically have the fundamentals and just have fun with the ball.
Yeah.
Good
luck to you. Hopefully when you still got a long time to go before
still
that, hopefully.
Hopefully, touch wood, but if not earlier, would be great.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
And outside of work, outside of football, everyone's got a job. You're a tiler as well.
Yeah.
What's it like juggling, going from tiling all day and then you got to go back to that's physical labor.
It is.
And then you've got to go and play 90 minutes of football.
Yeah, it's the first couple of years, well, the first year in particular, especially finishing high school and learning the trade, it was tough to adapt.
Yeah.
Because like you mentioned, you train 3 nights a week, you're working 5 days a week, and then you got to play Saturday mornings, Saturday afternoons. So it was hard on the body. It still is now, especially owning the business, and still having to work after training, doing all the book work and whatnot. But it's easily adaptable, and you just work around it because, again, you love the game that much, you're going to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I always say it, if you're playing football for a short time, you don't know how long you've got.
Yeah.
You know, touch wood, tomorrow I may go out and do an injury, unfortunately, which obviously we don't want, but you got to enjoy it while you can, because we can only play for so long. And then again, me wanting to potentially coach, so you're still involved with the game. Playing is big, so be able to juggle work is I find it now pretty easy. Yeah.
So what about for me? I wouldn't be able to concentrate at all. If you got a massive game at night, you need a win to finish to get automatic promotion, or you're the grand final. What's it like tiling throughout the day and just knowing you got a massive game at night?
It's tough. Like even going through last season at Port Adelaide, being involved with the grand final, even final series in itself, you know, leading up to the weekend, leading up to Saturdays is just, you know, it gets you a bit on edge. Like, especially towards the latter end of the week, like that Friday, you just kind of want it to be over and done with. So then Saturday comes, it's game day, you know. And if you got a night fixture, like a lot of the FFA Cup games, the preliminary rounds are fixtured midweek or Saturday night or something. You just can't wait to finish work. So you're a bit on edge. But I tend to block it out and deal with it mentally pretty well.
Well, that's you can do that better than me, because sometimes I'll be too on edge to know that I've got a big game that night and I've got to finish off tiling as well. Like,
and deal with clients as well. But you know what? We deal with these things.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about the local game as well, because even those Australia Cup, formerly FFA Cup games, watching the commentary and they're talking about how these players, today they were tiling, or today they were a doctor, and now they're playing football, playing against some of the most professional players in the country. It's incredible to have that big gap between those players that play part-time like you do, and being able to play against someone that plays on a professional scale,
full-time.
Yeah, and full-time. What's having that opportunity now with the Australia Cup, like for players like you that have got that opportunity to potentially get there and play against these big clubs?
It's a good opportunity because, like you said, it doesn't come along often. No. And once you get that opportunity, you just got to take it. I mean, of course, you're going to probably have your mind over yourself and think, I've got to overperform. But I haven't been in that position to play that far in the FFA Cup, say against, you know, like Adelaide City have against Melbourne Victory and Western Sydney, you know. But I guess taking your opportunity and doing what you can, you're going to get seen. Like, perfect example, Tom Love takes his opportunity and the rest was history. He got his opportunity. Yeah,
absolutely. And even the most recent one was with Adelaide United and Adelaide Olympic. Lewis Moss played amazingly against Adelaide United.
Correct.
Was a little bit cheeky in the penalty as well.
He was. But you know what? He backed it up. So good on him.
Absolutely. And it was good. I was an Adelaide United fan, but watching it as well was it was awesome seeing a club like Adelaide Olympic playing so well in the cup competition in Australia.
Yeah, I believe so. And I think it's been a long time coming for the FFA Cup to actually happen. It's always nice to see that, because you look at the FA Cup in England or you think, imagine if we had something like that in Australia. And, you know, finally they've been able to develop and produce something like that. And it's quite an attraction, and it's great for exposure as well. So I think the FFA Cup is great.
Absolutely. I'm a big lover of it, and especially with LA United being the champions 3 times now. So
of course, yeah. Filled up the trophy cabinet.
You've won 2 reserves players of the year. Do you want to try and get a third?
I think if I'm going to get a player of the year, I'm going to aspire for a first team award.
Yep.
But that's not to say to disregard that, because you're playing at a level where you put in or where you can play.
Yep.
And to achieve an award like that twice in a row, especially transitioning from Berks to Fulham in 2020 and playing 4 less games that year as well, to still achieve that, it was good, it was great. But yeah, I would love to win another Player of the Year award, hopefully at a first team level.
But achieving that is a massive accomplishment from going from 2 clubs in that same season as well. Did you expect to win that?
Honestly, no.
No.
No. Was I that second? Well, after I won the first one, I was quite surprised. I was quite shocked that I did win it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, not surprised because I felt like I had a really good season. And then after achieving that, I set my goal to say, if I'm put in the same position again, what's stopping me from doing it again?
Yeah.
If I'm playing at that level, why not play at the best you can? Because if you're just going to lay back and think it's done, then you're not going to play at your best and potentially get picked for first team. So again, like you mentioned, achieving it whilst transitioning to another club, and like I said, doing it with less played games, I was shocked to have won it again.
Mate, well, that's hopefully you can try and do that again this year with Pontian Eagles.
Yep, hopefully, and also promotion, that'll be great.
2 years in a row to promotion will be incredible for you.
It's a great stat line.
So I've got a couple of kicking it questions.
Okay.
So which footballer, this is a bit of fun you can have with. So
Sure.
which footballer would you love to kick a football with? So go and kick it with any footballer in the world.
Any footballer in the world, retired or...
anything. And retired, current.
You've put me on the spot, man.
That's the whole point of it.
Thanks, man.
Next one will be even better.
I think if I'm going to have a kick with anybody,
Yep.
past or present, I think I would like to pick the brain of Fabio Cannavaro.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I reckon. There are many to pick from, but
that's a really good one.
I think I'd like to pick his brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and have a kick with him.
I think a lot of Italians would love to go and kick with him.
Yeah, I'd love that. It'd be between Fabio Cannavaro or Andrea Pirlo for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
absolutely.
Two good choices there.
Yeah.
Well, now this is another one. Who would you love to kick back with and on a Saturday night and watch football with? So it can be two people, someone local and someone international.
Anybody? Again, you put me on the
There's
spot
so many
again.
great characters in football.
There are so many great characters. I mean, pick a local league match, a local person. Yeah, well, okay. Let's go with Nick Bucco.
Nick Booker. Oh, yeah.
Nick Bucco. He'd have a lot to say. And international wise, anybody professional? I don't know. We'll just pick a player. Just kick back and watch a game with Cristiano Ronaldo. Why not?
That would be
Why
a good
not?
one to
That'd
sit
be
back
good.
with.
That'll be good.
Mate, thank you so much for joining me. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Cheers. Thank you for having me.
Domenic Tripodi from Pontian Eagles in the State League 2. Make sure you subscribe to Kicking It Local wherever you get your podcasts so you can get a taste of the SA football community. Plus, follow Kicking It Local SA on Instagram and Twitter so you don't miss any of the action. See you soon.